So, welcome back, and this is the fourth week of this course on managing change in organization. And in the last week, basically we talked about the diagnosis part and how we are going to resist change, right. So, in this week we are going to discuss different kind of approaches that we use when we are going to implement change. Now, when we are going to discuss about implementation of change, these are the different approaches that we will talk about. Organizational development approach to start with in the first session, then we will talk about appreciative inquiries, positive organizational behavior and sense making approach, and then we will also talk about the contingency in the process approach. So, these are the different approaches which we will discuss one by one in this week. This is the fourth week of this course. So, we start with what we call this OD approach to change, right. Now, if you look at this OD approach to change here, who is going to adopt this kind of approach, right. Now, here we are talking about the change managers and their image. Now, you look at here and you will find only 4 kind of images, 2 are not there. Who are these people? Caretaker is not there, right. Why caretaker is not there? Because they are least concerned about implementation of the change, right, and that is why they have not been included. Now, the OD approach is basically followed by the coaches, that is the change managers, right. So, the idea here is that when we are talking about this organizational development approach is that how we can identify and build and what is working best in the organization. So, organizational development approach, whether it is appreciative inquiry or we are talking about positive organizational scholarship, right. If you look at all of these approaches, it is not basically concerned with finding fault with the organization. Now, what is wrong with the organization? So, you need to build up on what is being done well in the organization and that acts as a starting point, right. So, you need to identify and build on what is being done best in the best way in the organization, and that is how you are going to proceed with that one. Similarly, if you look at the sense making, the sense making approach is basically related to understanding and interpretation. So, they will try to understand and interpret the situation and then accordingly they would go about it, right. Now, if you look at the director, they go about the contingency approach. Contingency approach means that if the situation requires, then you go for it and then you have a planned process to go for a change. The navigator basically looks into the process through which the change outcome is achieved, right. So, if you look at this various change managers image which is formed and the kind of rationale that they go for it is basically helps in deciding what kind of approach would be followed by the change managers in a given context, right. So, we start our discussion with the organizational development approach to change. What happens in organizational development approach? See, organizational development is also a kind of change that we accept, right. So, in organizational development what basically we do? We try to apply social science technique for plan changes in organizational setting. Why? So, that we are able to enhance the effectiveness of the organization. See, for that matter you can say that any kind of change management effort is there to help improve the performance and effectiveness of the organization. But the approach that is adopted by different theoretical frameworks could be different. So, if you look at the organizational development approach, the kind of say framework that they use is that they go for more behavioral interventions for plan changes, right. So, the basic the fundamental basis is the use of behavioral interventions. The second important thing related to organizational development approach is that it is always planned, incremental and participative. That is the basic objective of any planned change effort in the organization, right. And how we are going to measure the outcome? The outcome of a change effort is measured by looking at the effectiveness of the organization or the performance of the organization. So, you have various parameters to judge the effectiveness of the organization in terms of revenue generation, in terms of market share, in terms of profits that you have generated. So, there could be different indicators of organizational effectiveness. This is basically a more macro based approach, where you are trying to see that how organization is going to behave, not the individual. So, the focus of change is not the individual. So, that is, but though it is through individual only, but here the focus of change is that how we can bring about a change in the performance of the organization, right. And the focus is long term. It means that you take certain actions to ensure that the long term goal of the organization is achieved. And also in the process, as I said, that it is through the people. So, you want to bring about a change in the behavior and attitude of the employees. So, improving the performance through behavioral changes among the employees, and that is where you are trying to use behavioral interventions or social science techniques, right. And it is a top down focus, because it is always planned by the top managers of the organization, right. So, now it is clear to you that what is organizational development approach to the change. Now, look at what are the issues that is addressed by the organizational development approach. If you go for micromanaging, growing pains, when the organization is growing and we are not able to manage well, because there could be structural issues. Because when organizations go, you know that you expand your markets, you expand the departments, you expand your units, you expand your products and services. So, and when you go for this kind of growth activities, definitely you need to plan certain interventions, so that these planned growth changes are more successful. Similarly, you can also use it for developing the vision and mission statement. You can also use it for managing conflict within the group, or intergroup conflict, or even inter-organizational conflict. You can also use it for ensuring that people understand the role and responsibilities clearly, right. You can also identify the performance gap of the organization and see what kind of say targets you have and what you have achieved, and see that why it is happening, and then what kind of interventions you need to plan to bridge this performance gap. So, for all of them, all these activities, basically you go for a more planned approaches with a focus what you need to achieve, right. And then you try to ensure that how people are going to behave. If people are not behaving in the desired direction, so you try to bring about a change in their attitude and behavior, so that you are able to address these issues, whether it is related to high turnover, or improving their skill, or looking into the cultural issues like the norms and value systems of the employees are not good, right, or they are not able to take good decisions, or they are not, the decisions are not stable. There is infighting within the say departments or groups in the organization, and there are diversity issues. Diversity issues means people are coming from different backgrounds, okay, culture, ethnicity, race, and they do not get along with each other. So, in order to solve all such kind of issues, you can go for adopting a planned development approach to ensure that these issues are resolved by the people in the organization or the managers in the organizations, right. And that is where the coach plays a very important role. Now, moving further, see how we are going to what kind of interventions you plan, right. So, these are some of the examples that is given here, right, in order to improve effectiveness. For example, any kind of change management effort, you can go for executive development program, change the behavior of the employees. In strategic planning, then group facilitation, organizational structuring, socio-technical systems, action research, all this is related to what? This is related to organizational effectiveness. So, organizational development interventions not only relate to organizational effectiveness, but also ensures that employees are at their best, they perform well. And in order to ensure that employees are effective, these are the different kind of interventions that can be planned, right. Like how you would resolve conflict, how you are better trained to provide good service to the customers or quality services to the customers, how you go about leadership development, how you manage a diverse workforce, how you develop communication, interpersonal communication, cross cultural communication, or even say personal effectiveness through communication. So, how you develop these things among the employees. Now, here you can say that we are talking about two kind of norms, that is organizational effectiveness and employee effectiveness. So, any kind of behavioral interventions that is planned is to improve the performance of the employees, effectiveness of the employees, and also the effectiveness of the organization as well. And these are the different kind of interventions can be planned. For example, say restructuring exercise. Organizational go for restructuring to improve their effectiveness. So, that there is a better coordination and integration. Group facilitation like team building, so that group starts performing well. The strategic planning exercises, so that top management is in a better position to decide about the strategies of the organizations, right. Socio-technical systems, so that you take care of both the social part, the technical part of the organization, and you think that how you can go for better alignment and improvement in the system. Action research is a different kind of thing. We will talk about action research. In action research, what actually happens, that we first will see that what is the problem, and then we try to solve the problem, act upon it, and then see that whether the problem is solved or not, right. So, if you look at these interventions that could be used to address issues related to effectiveness both at the employee level as well as the organization level are very, very important. So, before we proceed further, I would like to discuss about a model which is known as waterline model, right. So, the concept of this waterline is used as a metaphor, right. What actually happens? Now, if you look at waterline, so it denotes what? There are certain things that is above the water or the water line, and there are certain things that is under the water line, right. Now, if you go to a river or sea, you can see the surface of the water. So, there are certain things that is above the water, and there is lot of things that is beneath the water, right. Now, how this waterline model is being used in organizational development approach. So, what actually happens? So, if you look at the surface of that, what actually happens is that lot of people keep on resolving their day to day issues to solve the problem, but they do not focus on those problems which are deeply rooted in the organization, right, that is below the water, right. So, now, the thing is that you should not only focus on those problems which are on the surface, but also look at those problems which are beneath the surface, right. And that is why it is very, very important to pay attention to what is beneath the surface, or that is beneath the water line, right. So, you should what happens at the water line or the surface of the water line is related to maintenance, and what is there is basically the task. So, look at this model. So, these are the tasks related, these are the maintenance, right. This is the water line that is reflected. Now, if you look at this water line, what actually happens? These are the different points, right. Now, if you look at along these points, that is what these are the various tasks that is to be performed in order to maintain certain things, right. So, the task and maintenance goes on simultaneously at different levels, right. Now, look at this, what you do? These are the different kind of tasks that you take up. So, the first one is related to structure, where you try to clearly define the roles and regulations on a regular basis to maintain effective performance. Next level, this is related to the individual, this is at the group level. So, you look at the group dynamics, how the group is working, whether they have been able to form an effective group or not, what are how they take decisions, okay. All such issues related to formation of the group development and group activities is covered here. So, focus is on individual in a role and also focus on the group. At the third level, when you focus is on interpersonal, right, that is between two people, right. Then at the finally, you have at intrapersonal level within the individual, see what happens. So, what actually happens here? Within the individual, between two people, between the groups and human, this is at the organizational level. So, you are moving from interpersonal to organizational levels, and both kind of activities, task related activities and maintenance level activities need to be maintained. But what is more important, you need to ensure that at the maintenance level these activities are more important than at the surface level activities, right. Look at this, this is the water line, and you can see here these things. So, most of the things you will find that part of it only at the surface, but most of this is at the beneath the surface, right. So, you need to go for resolving these issues, but you leave out those issues. So, for effective maintenance you need to ensure that the issues which are popping up here, right, because these are larger issues than here. You see the level of issues are very less in all of them, right, in order to achieve the goals and the objectives. So, what is more important is that you need to focus on these parts in order to ensure that the goals of the objectives of the organization is achieved. So, what kind of interventions you can plan? You can plan interventions at the intrapersonal level, group level and also the organizational level, right. So, at this level what are the activities that is important, right, the goals and objectives, roles, decision making, how the organization go for it. The group level what happens? Who is a part of the group, how much inclusion is there, how the group is influencing, right, what kind of communication happens in the group, how much dependence is there in the group, right. Interpersonal level, the communication, feedback, conflict between the two people, and intrapersonal level, the last level, your own experiences, beliefs, values, assumptions that you have. So, all these are need to be managed in order to maintain these activities in order to realize the goals of the organization. It is not only important to focus on the task, but also to the maintenance factor, which is beneath the surface, and that is what the waterline model is talking about. Moving further, it is very important that you need to pay attention to the maintenance, so that you are able to achieve the goal. So, accomplishing the task and also the relationship. So, the task actually helps you to achieve the goals, but the relationship aspect which is covered at 4 level is equally important, and that actually helps you to maintain the system, and that also helps in achieving the goals and objectives, right. So, this is what the waterline model is. So, now you can see that using this waterline model you can plan interventions at different level to maintain the relationship at individual level, intergroup level and at the organizational level. And then you have to see that what kind of interventions you can plan to bring about a change in the behavior and attitude of the people, so that these issues are resolved and you are able to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization. Now, normally this kind of intervention happens at the individual, group and the organization level. Now, let us see what actually happens at these 3 levels. See, we are using an open system approach here, right. So, when we are going for organizational level diagnosis, what is wrong with what? We remember in the diagnosis we talked about there could be change in the strategy, technology, structure, culture or HR, right. So, you need to see that there is a better alignment, because these are the scope of the change, the areas of change or the focus of change you can say, right. So, when we are saying that these are the parts of the design, organizational design or the structure, so you need to look at it so that there is a better alignment among these factors, but the input is coming from where? The environment. Based on environment to decide about the strategy, and accordingly you ensure that technology, structure, systems, HR, all these are in congruence with each other, and then you have a culture which facilitates, supports the performance, right. So, the output could be productivity, performance, satisfaction of the stakeholders, right. So, this we move from organizational level analysis to the next level, that is group level analysis. The group level analysis, what happens, right. You look at the function, the composition of the group, how the task is structured around the group, how the team is functioning, what kind of norms have been developed, what is the composition of the group, right. So, you need to ensure that there is a better alignment among these factors, and this comes from what? The now here the input is organizational design, right. So, depending upon the structure you decide about the group, and then you see whether the group is effective or not, what kind of experience they have, what is their performance. Now, moving from group level, we are third level, we are going to the individual level now. Individual level, now all this organizational design, the group and the individual characteristics act as the input, and you also need to ensure that there is a better coordination among the job related factors, right. So, these how the job is being designed. So, we are moving from organizational design to job design here. These are the factors of the job design. So, what you need to do? You need to optimize these factors, right. You need to redesign the job or enrich them in such a way, so that they are able to identify themselves with the job, they are able to use a variety of skills in their job, they are given enough autonomy, they understand the significance and contribution of the job, and you also have a feedback system to provide them how well they are performing their job, right. So, these job design factors are basically emerging from where? The organizational structure and the group design, and also the individual characteristics, because individual characteristics are very important here, because they are going to moderate the relationship. Then from this job design, if the job is properly designed, then what will happen? What kind of outcome can be achieved? Satisfaction, performance, less absenteeism, and growth and development of the employees. Because if you are going to have a more enriched job, then definitely it would bring what? More commitment, satisfaction and performance on the part of the employees. So, when you are going to do this intervention, you need to find out whether the problem is with the design, right, or whether it is problem with the group at the group level diagnosis, or whether it is the problem with the job that the person is performing. Because any intervention that you are planning to bring about a change in the design, the group, their attitude or the job depends upon identification of this. So, the ODE approach basically talks about what? Intervening into the process through bringing about a change in the attitude and the behavior of the people, to ensure that you are able to successfully implement the change, and for that you need to go at 3 level of diagnosis to ensure that this works effectively, right. So, after discussing about different levels of diagnosis, what else is to be done, right. So, you also try to provide feedback to the employees, also decide about the kind of intervention that you plan and at what level the intervention is planned. Intervention could be planned at the group level, the individual level, or at the organizational level, right, and how these interventions are going to bring about an effective change. And finally, you want to make sure that this change gets institutionalized, it becomes embedded to the system or it become a part of the organization, right. So, only diagnosis is not important, but ensuring that the change gets institutionalized, though we will discuss it at later stage, that how we go about consolidating the change, but here it is very important to understand that unless change become a part of the system, it is not successful, right. So, after diagnosis you need to look into these activities to ensure that the change is going to be implemented successfully. Now, we will talk about some of the common interventions that could be planned. Now, team building is an intervention which could be planned at a group level, right. The basic idea of team building activities is what? So, the group performs well, there is a better communication among the employees or those who are part of the group, right, and that happens through goal clarification and role clarification. So, the group itself is going to identify what goal they want to achieve and in what way each member of the group is going to participate in the process, right. So, the roles of the responsibilities in the group is divided or decided, right, and they work together in order to achieve the common goal which they have set up, right, and that is what we know as task orientation, right. So, this is one intervention that can be planned by the group, right, it is a group level intervention. Then survey feedback, it could be done at the organizational level, right. So, one example could be say organizational health survey that is conducted by most of the organizations. Now, this OHS or organizational health survey is conducted to know about how organization is functioning, right, how employees feel about the organization in terms of their performance, satisfaction, reputation, branding and all kind of things, right. So, the idea here is to conduct a survey among the employees to know their attitude and behavior about the organization, right. And then the feedback that comes out of this survey is being communicated to the employees back and they are going to work on it. So, that this feedback which is coming out of the survey acts as an instrument to go for a change in the desired direction, right. So, this survey feedback is a very popular intervention and this is done at the organizational level intervention. Now, employee involvement, this could be there could be different kind of programs which has been run by the organizations to get better employee involvement, right, quality of work life, how you can improve the better quality of work life, right. So, when we are talking about quality of work life means what, that how employees perceive their work environment or where the place where they work, right, whether they feel it is good, it is worth working over here, the work life is very good or not, right. Similarly, quality circles program. Quality circle program is again is a group level intervention, where a group of employees talk about the quality. So, it is called circles, which is group basically, and they are basically concerned about improving the quality of the product or services. So, the group decides everything, that how they can go about improving the quality of the product or services, right. Then total quality management. This kind of intervention is actually an organizational level interventions, and in this kind of intervention what happens? They look at each and every aspect of the process and see that how we can bring in quality there, right. Then coming to the Six Sigma. Six Sigma is basically related to the product quality, and that is where you are trying to improve the product quality as per the best standards, right. The best standard of the Six Sigma quality is that the defects that you are going to have in product is minimized to the extent as per the standard laid down by the Six Sigma Council, that is 0.0003 per million product, right. So, if you are able to achieve this, it means that your product quality is the best one, and there is uniformity in the product qualities, right. So, Six Sigma is an effort actually to improve the quality of the product. Then coming to the business process re-engineering, where you go for re-engineer or restructuring the processes. It could be related to team. So, you are going to rejig the team, you can have different type of members in the team. So, those who are working in one team, they are not going to part of the other team. So, you are going to redesign the team. You are going to redesign the job by looking into the job design factors like task varieties, skill identity, task significance, and how you bring about a change in there to improve the job, its meaningfulness, right. So, that it is more challenging and satisfying to the employees. Then you also look into the various processes, the work performed by people, right. So, you also need to ensure that there is a better fit between the person and the job, and also using IT to facilitate or to go for more efficient performance, right. So, lot of re-engineering is done related to activities, processes, teams, jobs in order to bring more efficiency and performance in the organization. Then the next part we are going to discuss is that how effective these organizational development efforts have been, right. What the results are, the studies found that boosts impact on organizations than individual outcomes. So, it is more related to what you call organizational effectiveness than individual employees effectiveness, right. And it has it works better with the white collars, the executives than the non executives, right, because most of the OD interventions are actually planned for the managers only, that is related to team building, communication, job design, right, any kind of thing that is planned only for the executives or the managers, right. And you are not going to use just one technique, but you are also using multiple techniques. Though I have not used discussed all the techniques of OD interventions, we focus only in the major one like survey feedback and other quality improvement techniques, but it really works, right. And then if you are going for technical changes, it shows more positive outcomes. Like for example, if you go for say TQM, quality circles for improving the quality and efficiency of the products, and also Six Sigma, they have been found to be more effective and the outcome was very good, right. So, after discussing about OD effectiveness, let us see who are the clients of the OD. And when talking about the clients of the OD, as I told you that it could be the diagnosis is done at 3 level, that is organizational level, group level and individual level. So, the clients could be also at different levels in the organization, and when we are talking about the clients of the OD, it could be the board of directors like CEOs, AVPs. For example, when you want to bring about a change in strategy, mission, leadership or technology or structure, these are basically more transformational changes. So, if you want to go for these kind of transformational changes, it means that you need to adopt this approach, or any kind of intervention that is planned to bring about a change in these activities is related to the top management of the organization. Right. Moving next is the middle managers, and when you are focusing on middle managers, basically the areas are what? How are you going to manage conflict, how create better performance, right? How create a broader vision for the organization or the leadership. So, since they are concerned with the middle managers, most of the OD interventions that is planned at the individual and the group level will help these managers to better resolve conflict, look into the barriers and see that how they can remove these barriers to build better performance, or how they can realize the vision of the organization and how they can develop leadership at the middle level, right. Because basically the middle managers act as a bridge between junior managers and the top managers. So, the relationship aspect is very important here, and that is where they need to be developed. So, any kind of OD intervention like team building and these kind of things, conflict management are planned at this level. Moving to the third level, the other what we call the first line supervisors or managers, senior managers, you can say, since they are involved in the operations and they are better engaged with the employees, here you plan interventions like team building, communication, right, supervisory training or reward system. So, these kind of program interventions can be planned for the first line supervisors. Now, you see the moment you move from top managers to middle managers to the junior managers, there is a change in the focus and the attitude of the program, right. For example, in the middle management you are go for different kind of interventions, first line supervisors you go for different kind of interventions, and finally, at the lower level when the line workers, though it has not been found to be very satisfactory, but the basic objective is to go for redesigning the job, because the job that they have been doing, they do not find it very motivating, rewarding, satisfying and challenging. So, if you are able to identify that this is the situation, so you need to go for redesigning the job. So, you bring about a change in the feedback system, right, you empower them, you also bring about a change in the job characteristics factors, right, like how skills are used, what kind of things they are doing, how significant the job is, right. So, if you are able to look into these issues, what will happen? You are able to redesign the job in a better way, or you can also look into the team building exercises, so that collectively they are going to perform well. So, what we have discussed in this approach, especially the OD interventions, is that what kind of interventions can be planned, why it is important, what level we plan interventions, and see who are the clients, and depending upon the client and the level we can plan several interventions to bring about a change in the attitude and the behavior of the people, because ultimately we are using behavioral interventions to bring the change, right. But only problem is that this kind of exercise cannot be carried out with say workers at the organization, right. It could be done only at the managers or at any level. So, this is one of the drawbacks, but another drawback is that employees are not that effective when you are using this, especially it is aimed at improving the organizational performance and effectiveness. So, with this we can say that yes, it is a good approach that could be used to bring about a change at the organization level, not other level. Okay. So, with this we are going to close this. Thank you very much.